Hey, look at that. We are live, everybody. Man, a little tug. All right. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. Zini, hello. Neil, how are you doing? Bob. Alice Cooper. No, definitely not Alice Cooper tonight. It's not a her, it's a him. Hey, Eugene. Art Knight, hello. I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band. Judge Dredd, hello. Delicate Sounds of Water, closer. New hat, hello. All right, let's get started with the feedings. I don't know how long we're going to be live tonight. I got other shit I want to do. And so I'm probably going to be doing that at some point. And then, of course, the live stream will be over. But in the meantime, let us commence with the feedings of the pond. Kendra, 44 months. Holy crap. Making me feel old. I've been doing this way too long. Oh, I totally got fish food in my fucking bong that time. Like in the water. I'm definitely going to go dump that water out and change it. You can see my bong sitting right here. As I was sprinkling the food, some went straight down the pipe. So we definitely got fish food down there. All right, sorry I was a little bit late tonight, but I was busy. I was busy listening to some music, and I wasn't going to go live until the song was over, and I missed it by a minute or two, but whatever. You guys will get over it. All right, nice, fresh, clean bong water. All right, we are just finishing off a bowl I started working on earlier tonight. That's not going to be anything super complicated to get the evening started. Spent the day out on the water today. It was an absolutely gorgeous day. Steve was supposed to come out with me, but ran into issues, couldn't find the equipment he needed. I was already out there waiting for him, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to do my own thing. And so I spent the afternoon out on the water. I didn't get home till after 6 o'clock. That's why I was kind of getting down here a little later than usual. But it was really busy out there today. And I did notice, I think probably for the first time ever, I saw more kayaks and canoes. I did see several canoes today, as dumb as they are. And I saw a lot of kayaks out there. And when I was leaving, I saw 3 people on illegal kayaks. One guy was in a Dagger. It's a model they don't make anymore. It's about 15 years old, but it's very similar to the Katana. It's about 9 feet long and just sort of flat bottomed. And the dude was kitted out. He had on a helmet, elbow pads, knee pads. He had fingerless gloves on. The spray skirt. The water was like fucking glass out on the reservoir. So I don't know where he was going. He needed all that shit. I'm assuming maybe he was going to go out there and practice rolling or something like that. I don't know. But he went full kit, spray skirt and all, out on the water as I was pulling out and leaving about 6 o'clock. And, he was illegal. The guy that came in behind me had a kayak that should have been legal if he'd had stickers on it. It was big enough and, it fit the criteria, but he had no stickers on it. And then there was a family putting in when I was leaving in a great big ass canoe. It was like a big 18-foot canoe, and it was like 5 like Russian family members, presumably the husband and wife and several children. Um, and I say Russian. I don't know if they were Russian or whatever, somewhere from that area, but they talked a funny Russian sounding talk. Um, it's amazing how many Russian sounding or speaking sounding people I run into at that boat launch. I don't know what it is about that boat launch or bodies of water and Russian people, but they fucking gravitate to water or something. Anyway, that whole family went out in a big ass canoe that had no legal stickers on it or anything. So it was an interesting day out on the water, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. All right, let me do an actual bong hit, and then we'll move on to the next tank. It's all the dried, prepared super silver haze I have left. I'm slowly working my way through this. Now, I have 2 more jars that have been curing, so I'll just have to move some out of one of those jars and sort of top that jar back off. But that original jar that I started with is finally almost gone. So I'm just going to do a regular old normal bong hit. And as far as my plans later, that's what my plans for later are. All right, bong hit accomplished. Let's move on to the next tank. Oh, and Laura, is Laura here? I don't think Laura's here yet. We'll wait. I got something to show her. And we do have a little bit of work to do tonight. Laura, you are here. Well, it's too late. We'll look at it again in a minute. Mel, hello. Dave. I did have a pet toad very briefly, Bob, but it was on accident. I'll tell that story in a moment. You think somebody robbed you, Steve? You think somebody got in your car and stole your shit or something? Because I thought it was kind of odd the way you were saying you couldn't find all your stuff. I didn't know what stuff you couldn't find, but I was assuming it was stuff like, the gear to strap the kayak down or your paddle or, something you were going to need to go paddling. If it was just your fishing gear or something like that, obviously you could have just come without that. So I figured it was something critical that you were missing. And I was kind of scratching my head as to why you'd be missing it. Why wasn't it, just where you'd normally keep it? So yeah, I was wondering about that. That's fucked up. All right. Well, sorry for not saying hello earlier, Laura. As far as keeping a toad, we used to, well, we still do. We over summer a lot of our plants out in the yard. Sometimes we put house plants out there, and sometimes we will also take our potted plants that are outdoor, annuals, and we'll bring them in and we'll overwinter them. We used to do that a lot more. And underneath, I have that skirt hanging underneath of my that sort of floating ledge that all my fish tanks sit on. That used to be open underneath. I didn't have that skirt there. And before the canister filters were under there, it used to be just open space. The whole idea was to make it look like I just had fish tanks sort of floating on the wall. And what I did was I put lights underneath of all those. And then we would overwinter a lot of our outdoor plants under there. and I'd have the fluorescent lights and everything underneath of the fish tanks, and then the plants all along the bottom. And one year we did that, or I did that, and one of the planters we had outside must have had a toad that had gone dormant already. We brought the plants in a little bit late, like early December, and we, brought it in. And after being inside for a couple of days, I saw that there was a hole in the substrate, where the plant was. There looked like something had burrowed, but it looked weird. It didn't look like something had burrowed. It looked like something had come out of the soil. And I looked around, and sure enough, huddled over underneath one of the leaves of one of the plants, I don't remember what kind of plant it was, there was a little toad sitting in there. And so he must have gone dormant prior to me bringing the planter inside. At that point, it was too late. It would have been a death sentence to just put it outside in December. So I built a habitat for it, and I kept the damn thing alive till springtime. And when it was warm enough, I took it outside and let it go. So I did briefly have a pseudo sort of pet toad, but it was just a regular old backyard toad. It wasn't anything fancy. Oh, Jesus, Steve. I wonder where the fuck it went. All right, I am all caught up. Let us moveth on to the next tank. Yeah, dude, that's fucked up. I wonder where it went, or who got it, or how they got it. I don't know where you used to keep it or whatever, but that's fucked up. I almost felt like I was kind of done for the year. As chilly as it's been by my standards, it just feels like the summer's over. And then today we actually had a really nice day. It was like 84, 85 degrees. Nice little breeze blowing. It actually, I said to my wife after I got the kayak loaded up and came inside, I was like, damn, because I was thinking about wearing like long pants and a long shirt. And I said, it actually feels like a late summer afternoon rather than fall. And I realized it is late summer. It's still not autumn yet. It's technically still late summer. And so it should feel like late summer. It should be 85 fucking degrees out. I've just gotten so used to like the low 70s or upper 60s by the evening time. Again, it saved us a shit ton of money in our air conditioning bill over the last 6 weeks. But man, has it been chilly. Kevin, I would love to show you some Congo Tetras. Alas, I do not have any and have not had any for quite some time. Quite a few years, as a matter of fact. I've got some rainbow fish in the 125 that we will be looking at last. So that's going to be about a half an hour or so before we get to that tank, if you want to come back later. And that's as close as I've got is some rainbow fish right now. I don't have anything approaching a Congo Tetra. I've got diamond Tetras. I've got Buenos Aires Tetras. I've got black skirt Tetras. I've got a red-blue Colombian Tetra. Let's see. Do I have any other Tetras? The silver dollars you're looking at technically are Tetras, I believe. I think they're Tetras. Computer, are silver dollar fish Tetras?
From kidaddle.com. The silver dollars are Tetras, and like all Tetras, they prey on their eggs.
All right. Well, now we know they prey on their eggs. So, yeah, that's what I thought. The silver dollars are Tetras. So I do have a lot of Tetras, but not... I feel like I got to stop saying that word before it loses all meaning. No Congos in that word. Oh, well, the fish are wondering where the hell the rest of the food is. I always do that. I put some of the food in and then forget I got to go back with the algae wafers. My mind was lost in Tetra. Not sure where the pleco is, but we might get a look at the big pleco I've got in here somewhere. Still can't get over how fast that. Oh, there he is. Sticking his little face out on the bottom right now. Sneaking out from underneath that log. I still can't get over how fast that jewel, or not jewel, pearl cichlid is getting. Pearl, jewel, diamond necklace. That's all close. Brooch. I do have some nearite snails here and there. We will get to see the Buenos Aires Tetras in a few moments when we get around to the next couple tanks. Hidden Army. Those goldfish are a few years old. The black one, the really fancy one, was pretty big when I got it, so I don't know how old that one was, but it was not much smaller than it is now. I got it at maybe 2/3 its current size. The medium-sized one, the one, or the small one, actually, I got a few years ago, is a really small Oranda, and that one is still kind of small compared to the other two. And then the one, if you remember, that was the calico, that's actually just a fantail. It's not the Oranda. And that is the youngest one in the tank. I got that one about the size of a marble from Petco a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I lose track of time, so we'll call it 3 years. And that sucker's the size of a baseball now. It's the biggest fish in that tank, and it's still growing. So I really got to upgrade that tank to probably like a 75 or something. I just don't have the money for it right now. And so that goldfish is in there just getting enormous. Can Buenos Aires, I'm not sure what you're asking, if it can live in a 20. The Buenos Aires Tetras, yeah, you could probably put a few of those in a 20. All right, let's move on to the next tank. I need to put this coffee away. It's 20 after 8 already. I took like a whole day's worth of coffee out with me today, and I hardly drank any of it on the kayak. So now not only do I still have this cup of coffee, but I still got a whole container full of coffee upstairs. It's still hot that I never drank today. It'll still be there tomorrow. It won't be very good, but I still got truck driver blood in me. I've drank some foul fucking coffee over the years, so no worries there. All right, let's move on to the 20. And let's see what we're going to put in there for nummies tonight. I guess we'll just do the Vibrobites. They're easy right here. Thank you for the stop signs. All right, let me clear away some of these notifications. I got a email response from the mushroom company, my chocolate bar that was lost in the mail. I had contacted them earlier in the week, and I'd spoken with a representative. I didn't get their name, but when the chocolate bar arrived yesterday, I sent them an email saying it had shown up, so you don't have to follow up and check with the postage to make sure it arrived and all that. I'm just letting you know it arrived. So thank you for your concern, etc. One of those kind of responses. So they were kind enough to send me a confirmation email back saying, we got, great. We're glad you're satisfied. Let us know if there's anything else we can do for you, whatever. But she had a really heavy accent when I was speaking to her, and I couldn't place it. And then when she did the email, it turns out her name is Fifi. So I still don't know how to place that. I think of Fifi and I think French, but I don't think she had a French accent necessarily. I don't really have any idea where to place her accent, but her name was Fifi, and she was very helpful. So I have nothing but good things to say about that company. Thank you, Kevin. Dialed 0 for representative. I don't really know if sharks are jumpers or not. You probably want to ask Shamu that. He's the guy with all the experience with the sharks. My sharks, hey, Michael, my rainbow shark has been in my open top 125 for years and it's still in there. Now, that doesn't mean a lot. That's very, very anecdotal. That's that fish in this tank. If you put 100 sharks in the same tank, would 40 of them jump out? I don't know, maybe. If the tank was set up different, if there was different fish in there, would this one have jumped out by now? Maybe. All I can say is that all these years, that one is still in the tank and has never jumped out. All right, I had some of that shitty ass weed that was all boogered up with the mites and spider webs and all that crap that I hung outside and let dry and was all nasty and gross. But I did manage to make quite a lot of hash oil out of it. That's a big puck size container. That's not one of the little ones. So that's what I'm working on tonight. It's not delicious, but it gets the job done. And again, I'm on skeleton rations here while I wait for my next plants. I say that, although I vape as much as I feel like. It's just not necessarily the highest quality. I just got to get myself through to the next plant. I have put a plant in. It is now in the flowering process. It's just begun. I put it in yesterday, but I have now officially moved a plant into the flowering, and so far so good. It doesn't look like there's any bugs on it, but how many times have I said that in the past? I went to great lengths this time to make sure everything was shut down. I stripped everything down to nothing, sprayed it, left all the tents empty for a couple of weeks, the whole 9 yards. And so again, if this isn't going to give me a fresh start, then I don't know what the hell is. So fingers crossed on that one. And Laura, if you're still listening, if you haven't fallen asleep yet, what I wanted to show you is nothing amazing or anything. I was just, when I was upstairs saying goodnight to my wife this evening, I noticed a book of terrariums on the shelf upstairs. I don't know where it came from. I've never seen it before, but apparently my wife has a terrarium book up there. And so I brought it down. I figured we could thumb through it a little bit and see what's in it. All right, let's move on to the next tank. The next tank is the one with all the diamond tetras and the Buenos Aires tetras. I also have a red-tailed shark in here, and I have a clown pleco on the bottom that you will not see, and I have a Synodontis lucipinus on the bottom that you probably will not see, but they are in there, trust me. Mostly what you're going to see is all of the diamond tetras and Buenos Aires tetras, which I have aplenty. And we're going to stick with the vibrobites. That way the aforementioned bottom-dwelling fish will get plenty of food making its way to the bottom. But all the other crazy bastards will get a lot of it before it gets there. I like the vibrobites. They sink, but not really fast. So it gives them plenty of time to swirl around in the water column. All right, just looking for where I was. There we are. Platinum Panda Angel. Nice. I had a Platinum Angel once. They're gorgeous. Yeah, I think there's always a chance if you've got an open top tank, no matter what fish it is, there's a possibility it can come out. But again, I wouldn't necessarily put a shark as likely. You had to pull a goldfish off the ceiling. Nice. I had a weird dream too the other night. I can't remember what it was now, but I did remember it the next day, and I told my wife about it. She cracked up because she was in it. It was just a weird one. Someone, I think it was Cornish, was saying when they take these mushroom products, when they eat the gummies from this company, this treehouse company, they have these really weird dreams. Not necessarily bad dreams, but just really weird dreams that they remember. And I definitely do too. And that was one of them the other day. I can't. I wish I could remember it now. It was like a week ago, but I remembered it clearly the next day enough that I told my wife later that afternoon when she came home from work the next day, next evening. Dutchman, how are you this evening? I do not have an opinion on the Fluval stratum because I've never used it, and I'm not even 100% sure what it does other than raise your pH. No, lower your pH, I believe. See, I don't even know exactly what it does. I like the red-tailed sharks too. Reggae shark, nice. I got this red-tailed shark that you may or may not see in this tank, or you may have already seen. I haven't been looking at what you're looking at because I'm busy reading. That came from Shamu, one of my longtime fans. He's got so many of those over the years. One of them was just really problematic, and he joking. I thought he was joking. Said he was going to ship it to me, and I said, "Sure, go ahead, I'll take it." And he wasn't fucking kidding. He actually sent it to me. I was like, "God damn, now I got to do something with it." So I put it in that tank, and it actually worked out pretty good. It's been doing all right in that tank ever since. But that's where that one came from, and I've had it for a couple years now. I have no idea how old it was when I got it though. Yeah, it lowers your pH. That's what I thought. Damn dirty volcanoes. I don't even remember where I've got those tetras. Actually, the diamond tetras probably came from House of Tropicals. I got them so many years ago. I haven't had to replace them because they breed in there. And as some, the older ones die off, the younger ones grow up and they just keep breeding. And they do eat the eggs, and they eat they probably eat the young when they're real tiny, or the fry. But some of them survive, and from time to time, you'll see a little tiny one in there swimming around, or two or three of them swimming around. And I've got more in there now than when I started, and that was probably 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago when I put them in there. They've just been in this tank forever. Same with the Buenos Aires. I've seen little baby Buenos Aires swimming around in there, and so they're just sort of replacing themselves as time goes on, and I haven't had to worry about it. You use Fluval in your terrariums for mud back walls. All right, let us continue on with our journey here. Actually, let me finish off what's in this bowl. Well, I don't know if I'm going to finish off what's in this bowl, but I'm going to keep working on this bowl. Then we'll move to the next tank. When we get to the 40, we actually do have some work to do tonight. It's not going to be anything major, but if you'll remember, I had a problem with the light that was on there. The rainbow shark in my 125 just chased a big ass pearl cichlid all the way down the length of the tank. It was kind of funny looking. Moist. I was thinking about the difference between damp and moist the other day, Laura. And the only place that I can think of damp being worse than moist is when you're talking about a mattress. I think a damp mattress is worse than a moist mattress. Because a damp mattress just takes my brain to ugly places. I don't even want to think about a damp mattress or what's been happening on it or where it's been or what it's seen. All right, we're going to move on to the next tank. All right, let me kick some shit out of the way. Anyway, like I was saying, I have the two lights on my 40. One runs across the front of the tank and one runs across the back of the tank. And I wanted to put a switch on the one in front so I could turn it off when we're not really looking at the tank. And that'll not only save electricity, but it'll, save some maintenance on the tank. The algae won't grow so fast, etc. So I finally got around to putting that switch on the light, only to find out that when I turned the forward light off, there was no rear light. It wasn't working. So I don't know how long the back light had been out, but all we were looking at on that tank was the forward light. So now the switch light is in the back, and I did go to Home Depot and I got a new light on Saturday. That would be yesterday. And I'm going to show you the light, and we're going to go ahead and install it, and I'll move the switched one from the rear to the front again, and then I'll put the new one that doesn't have a switch on it. You just plug it in and it's on. It's one of those kind of lights. We'll just go ahead and plug that into the switched receptacle where it already was plugged in, and then we'll have two lights on my 40 again, and I'll be able to turn the forward one off when we're not looking at it. So that's the little bit of maintenance we're going to do tonight. And my catfish in my 125 is out and at it again. So let's go try to have a look at him while he's out. And he's going to go away as soon as I get over there and point the camera at him. And there he goes, right on into his cave. Well, you can see his profile in there. He was out and swimming up in the water column. I've seen him doing that quite a bit recently, but he's kind of skittish. If you get too close to him or, stick a camera in his face really quickly like we just did, it'll scare him away. So when we got the camera positioned over here, we're sitting down. Remember, look down in this area and look and see if you don't see that catfish kind of hovering in the tank, swimming up in the water column there. It lives in this cave down here. So, where the greenery sort of ends and you've got that dark patch, keep your eye around there whenever we're looking at this tank, because that's where that catfish lives, in that cave. All right, let's get back to looking at my striped Raphael. Oh, the red-tailed loach just came out of its house. I don't know if it's going to do a dash around the tank or if it's going to swim back into its... Oh, it's already back into its hole. Never mind. You never can tell with that fish. think of a waterbed with heat and AC. You don't really need AC on a waterbed. You just turn the heat off. Believe me, I had my waterbed, the heating element broke, and I figured, who cares? It's room temperature. It's not like it's chilly out. You're sleeping on a bag of water that's 75 degrees. It'll suck the heat out of you like you wouldn't believe. It feels like you're lying on cold water if you're lying on a room temperature waterbed. So trust me, if you've got a waterbed, which nobody does anymore, they fell out of popularity decades ago. But if you ever get a waterbed, you got to have a working heater on it or it sucks. I loved my waterbed. I had a really nice waterbed. It was really expensive. All right, let me see what that was. Sweet, another one. I picked up 2 new fans today. Well, I didn't mean to call you back. If you want to keep progress with what you were doing there, Laura, you can get back to it, and I'll give you a shout when we're getting ready to sit down, after we've looked at the tanks and whatnot. Actually, you know what? Since you're here and you're already having your progress disrupted, why don't we just look at it now? And then that way you can get back to doing whatever you were doing. So this can be like show and tell. We can look at this book. So this is the book that I saw sitting on the shelf. And if we open the book, we can see pictures probably. Table of contents. Let's see what we got. Terrariums and other glass containers. Planting a terrarium. Case for orchids. Choosing and planting. Dish garden. I'm not even sure what a dish garden is. I guess just a garden that grows in a shallow dish. Interesting. Sitting and lighting. Planning and planning. Planning and planting. Do's and don'ts. My eyes are so terrible. And I'm standing here in low light with flashing disco balls going around. All right, I'm not seeing anything too amazing in here. That one's pretty interesting. No idea what plants are in it. Oh, those are cool. I like the little, even a friggin' wine glass you could do something with. I need to rethink what's actually in mine. I didn't really give too much of a thought to the size of the plants that were going in it. See, that's something like what I've got going on there. Just a jar with a stopper on the top. Oh, that's cool, having the open top so it grows up and out. I like that too. All right, into the planning stages, what we'll need, all these little tools. Look at that, little weird ways of getting shit down inside the bottle to plant it. Maybe I have to thumb through this book a little more seriously rather than just a perfunctory look at the pictures way. See, when I was a kid, my dad used to make terrariums out of glass and lead cane. If you don't know what lead cane is, it's the kind of stained glass you see that's got those real big, thick pieces of lead between. It's like a lead channel that the glass sits in, and then you just sort of attach the channels together with your soldering iron. And that's what my dad used to work with. And he used to make terrariums very similar to this when I was a kid. We used to have them in several rooms of the house. He gave them to relatives as gifts. Ooh, I like that. That's pretty too. I like the minimalistic nature of it. It's got great lines too. I like this a lot. I really like that a lot. My shit's always bustling and crowded, whether it's my plants in my aquariums or it's the amount of fish I got in my aquariums. I have a really hard time with the sort of austere look like that. I guess that's your little dish garden. That's pretty cool too. I like that. Interesting. All right. Well, that was that. Do's and don'ts. All right. Let's get back to the feedings of the aquariums before it gets too much later. I almost bought an air plant for the fish room down here. We were at Lowe's yesterday. We went to Lowe's and Home Depot, and we were looking at the bulbs, fall bulbs, getting ready to start our planting for next spring. And we were in their indoor plant area because we're just looking around. And they had all these air plants and these cool little planters, and some of them look like space aliens with the air plant growing out of their head. And one of them was a little mushroom with the air plant growing out of the top of the mushroom. And since this is the Weed and Shrooms live stream, I thought that would be a cool little plant to put here in the fish room. I could put it along the waterfall somewhere, and I'm sure the occasional splash and bit of moisture in the air would keep an air plant alive. And then we would have yet another little mushroom ornament, because we don't have enough already. All right, let's get caught up on some comments. If I can find a stop sign back here somewhere. No stop sign, but I found my spot. Hey, Quaz. Tell you about waterbeds? I have had endlers. I do like endlers a lot. Picture books are the best kind of books. Audio books, I thought most people thought were the best kind of books now. That is true. I did have that top open for a while I was letting it air out, but it wasn't designed to be an open top. So that's not necessarily the same thing. Just because you leave the refrigerator door open doesn't mean it's supposed to be. Oh, you're quite welcome, Laura. As soon as I saw that, I thought about you. I asked my wife, can I borrow that tonight? She's like, yeah, take it. Oh, there's a stop sign. Thank you. Yeah, people buy them and then they die and they get snagged by the cute little ornament type. Again, I was going to buy the cute little thing, not because of the air plant, but I thought it was an adorable little mushroom ornament. And if the air plant died in 6 months, I'd still have the mushroom ornament. It's probably a 25-cent mushroom ornament and a 10-cent air plant. And it's $12.99 or whatever they're selling it for. So we opted to leave it there. But we did get what did we get? We get some kind of plant that was, we got a hydrangea that was on clearance. And so we paid $14 for the hydrangea, a big 2-gallon pot hydrangea, or a gallon and a half, one of the larger ones. So we got that on clearance. And then they had a bunch of carpets, and in the pile of carpets, like we found a 5x7, which is actually 5.5 by 7.5, but it was listed as a 5x7. And that was on clearance. It was $137 carpet on clearance for $22.22. And we looked at each other like, seriously? Let's just fucking buy it. We'll throw it on top of our existing carpet and we can use it until it gets dirty and then just throw it away. So for $22, we got a 5x7 rug for our living room. It's $135 or $137 rug for $22. When we left, the cashier checked us out and her eyebrows went up and she's like, wow. It was the bill was something like $35 or something was the total bill, and she said your savings was like $87.96. So we saved almost $90 on our purchase, and we didn't even spend 30 or didn't even spend 35. It was a good day at Lowe's. Yeah, that's true too, Laura. I forgot about the orchid popping out of there. I don't know what I would do if I didn't store my memory in other people's brains. A waterbed is a bed that the frame is like a box, kind of like my pond. It has a liner in it in case there's a leak. And then the mattress for a waterbed is a big bag of water. It usually has baffles in it or mine had a big sponge inside of it. And so when you move on it, the sponge would stop the wave action from sloshing back and forth. A really, really cheap mattress would simply be just a bag of water. Again, it was very thick material, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, you put the mattress inside the frame, you filled it with water. If you filled it really full, it would be a firm mattress. If you let it go a little lower, it was more jiggly, softer, but you slept on a bag of water, basically. And that was a waterbed. They were really, really popular back in the 70s. When you're an adult, maybe you'll understand why they were popular. But yeah, I loved my waterbed. That waterbed was awesome. Is Cornish here? Cornish, what's up, man? I've never had good luck putting angelfish together, so I usually keep them separated at this point. I could probably kill an air plant. I don't know. Yeah, waterbed aquarium would be cool. Do a clear mattress and put fish on the inside of it. I've thought about that before. Yeah, you're not kidding, Laura. That was a fucking score. I actually saw a video the other day about Tanked. I'm not sure if it was a fish tuber person shooting the video or if it was somebody else, but it was basically, oh God, what was it now? They were either saying they were like the most dangerous fish keeper or they were like the most bad example or the most irresponsible fish keeping television show or something like that. It was somebody shitting on them to some degree. I thought about clicking on it, but then I decided not to, and I didn't because I really don't care that much. I always thought when I watched their show years ago, when that show just got popular when I was fairly new in the hobby, and I used to watch it, and I used to just think about how ridiculous it is, the shit that they're doing, and the way they're making these aquariums, and like again, any of those shows are just looking the best example ever, and this is probably an egregious example. Is Pimp My Ride. Look into the history about Pimp My Ride and like what happened to those cars and the way they were just totally non-functional and it was all for show. It was all just to make it was all for a television show. Like the people basically got their cars fucked up and unusable and they never were able to use them again, because they had soda dispensers and shit built into the dashboard. They never put the engine back in, but they put the soda dispensers in for the finale, So I don't know. I would have to watch that video to see what it was all about, but I think people have mixed feelings about that show. Jack Wagon. I don't know who Jack Wagon is. I don't know who anybody is because I don't watch YouTube. I don't even get fish keeping people's videos popping up in my stream anymore on YouTube. I hear people talk about other people and I don't even know who they're talking about, which is the way I like it. I don't get involved in all the stupid high school petty talking about people bullshit. True Heart, hello. You're old with night sweats. That sucks. See, I was going to refrain from saying, but I'm a very moist sleeper too. My mattress is very moist when I wake up, and I sleep with one of those fuzzy blankets that's made out of like plastic, basically. It's polyester or whatever. Feels soft and fuzzy, but it absorbs no moisture whatsoever. Like it just And I sweat when I sleep. I don't know why. We're going to pass over this tank. There's nothing really to see in there. Oh, we're going to do some work on the tank. Hang on a minute. Let me get this tank fed real quick, and then we'll do some work on that next. Anyway, yeah, I know that's more information than any of you people want to hear, but you guys are talking about night sweats, so I will too, damn it. Yeah, I hate it. It's fucking gross. I wake up, I feel like somebody like poured buckets of water on me over the in the night. All right. Jackwagon was just a reference to D. All right, I don't know who D is either. Oh, is it that? No, that would be N. Is the person I'm thinking of. All right, I'm going to do a hit because I don't care. I'm going to try not to cough my full head off this time, but again, we're going to take a hit off of that huge batch of hash oil I made today. And it tends to make me cough a lot, whether I do a big hit or not. My preference is to wake up nice and dry and toasty warm, all snuggled under the blankets. But I don't. I wake up feeling like I've been sleeping outside and it rained over during the night, and it's fucking gross. Holy hell. You should see how red that shrimp is right there. I know you can see it. Thank you for the stop signs. I know you can see that shrimp, but you can't see how red it is compared to what I'm seeing. It's like brick red. Good God, what am I trying to do here? All right, I'm grabbing the wrong lid to put away. That was like getting punched in the brain. Damn. All right, it is 9 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and eat my chocolate bar now, because that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my night. I got 8 pieces of this puppy, and I'm going to eat all 8 of them right now. Comes in a nice foil wrapper. It's a very tough foil wrapper. I don't try to tear it open because I'm afraid I would rip the whole thing open and my chocolate bar would go flying across the room. So I use scissors and just cut the end off, and then you can just slide the chocolate bar out. So it came broken in the mail, but it came pre-broken, 6 pieces and a little corner. And so now I have 8 pieces and most of another one. So I'm going to eat that tonight. That'll be a fucking whammy doodle. That's a lot of chocolate. So about an hour from now, I'm going to be in a much better mood. This is good. This is mushroom edibles. Man. This is it's not psilocybin mushrooms, but it is I don't know. I've talked about it a lot. I don't know exactly what's in it, but it's not psilocybin. You get a very, very different effect from it. But I've never eaten 9 pieces before. 8 pieces is the most I've ever eaten at once. But last night I ate 6 pieces, and I drank a quarter of a bottle of syrup on top of the 6 pieces that I ate. So last night I was fucking zooming. So tonight eating 8 pieces of chocolate, this ought to be a pretty good night too. So again, it's not psilocybin, but it has its own weird psychotropic effect. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but I really like it a lot. It's killing me at the bank. It's expensive as shit, but it's really good. Well, I am in the process of acquiring some psilocybin mushrooms. In a few weeks, I should have a bunch of them. So we might do some psilocybin mushroom live streams, and we might not. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. But about 3 weeks or so, I should have quite a lot of psilocybin mushrooms. And I'm hoping I can stop buying these expensive ass syrups and chocolate bars and do the real stuff. All right, that chocolate bar is gone. That was good. And I mean that literally. It really is a good chocolate bar. It's really, really similar to Cadbury in its texture. It's really smooth and creamy. I don't want to drink anything to wash it down with because the flavor is so delicious. Freshly rolled boomer. I've never heard it called a boomer before. All right, let's see. Yeah, I've never cultivated them before, but I'm trying to now. I've got a grow bag in the other room that's just about ready to switch from the um, mycelium stage to the flowering stage. And once we get to that final stage, it should take about 2 weeks. But I'm right there. Last time I checked on the bag, it was almost completely white. You could see a little bit of the substrate, a little bit of the darkness from the substrate shining through, but mostly the bag was just about white. So again, I'm probably tomorrow. I'm going to open the bag and cut some slits in it and start the gas exchange and get that whole process started. So hopefully in about 2 to 3 weeks, I should have lots of mushrooms. I'm really excited about that. I never had grape cough medicine growing up. I never had good cough medicine. That's why I was saying the strawberry stuff tastes like cough medicine. To me, the strawberry stuff tastes like if they made Robitussin, but it was strawberry. Like that's what it would have tasted like. I think the grape syrup tastes like liquid lollipops. It's just like grape candy to me. It doesn't have any medicine-y sort of flavor at all. Like that sort of chemical, I don't know, like just that medicine-y flavor. It's hard to describe. The strawberry stuff I thought had a really, really strong medicine-y quality to it. I did not like that at all. Might be good if you diluted it or mixed it in with some, soda water or something like that, and made like a strawberry soda. I just swig it straight out of the bottle. It's a really, really thick syrup, and it's oh god, that strawberry stuff. That was the first stuff I got, and it was nasty. So I got the grape, and I like the grape. I've done the grape ever since. All right, we'll give this tank a couple more minutes to be fed, and then we'll go ahead and get that light swapped out on the 40. So let me do a bong hit, and we'll start clearing some stuff off the top of it because we got to do that first. I use the top of the 40 as my base station with all my stuff on it, my command center. So I keep all my fish food on there. I keep my laptop on there, etc. So we need to move all that out of the way. Well, we'll see. We'll work around it. Give me a minute. Let me do another hit or two in here and let you enjoy your fish feeding for another minute. All right. Every time you say Reggae Shark, I start singing the damn song in my head. Nobody guessed my music tonight either. based on the shirt I'm wearing, that should give you a hint. Although it would be a red herring of a hint, but it's still a good hint. Just a slightly misleading one, if you get my meaning. All right. Did anybody want to see that label thing again from that mushroom? Because I'm throwing it away. So if anybody wants to see it now, I got to get it back out of the trash. I like how it censors thick platies. Extra fragrances. No, I do not use CO2. All right, you got a question? Cat Stevens. Moonshadow, Moonshadow. No, not Cat Stevens. I was listening to Pink Floyd, but I was listening to Wish You Were Here. And that was the song. I actually listened to the album, but Wish You Were Here was the song I wanted to listen to. And it took longer to get to than I thought. I actually had to skim through time a little bit. No, I didn't even think about that. That's kind of funny. I did sort of fast forward through time to get to Wish You Were Here a little quicker. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when it censored, thick. It wouldn't let you put thick down there, and that's exactly the first thing I thought. It probably thought you're saying something. I, for the first time ever, had a YouTube, and they're using AI to do this shit now, so we're going to probably run into issues. But for the first time, I had a video when I posted it the other day. I did that video about the tannin. And it came up saying that there was a restriction on it, and that comes up automatically sometimes, and then it will do its checks and all that stuff, and then by the time it actually processes and goes public, it's cleared all that out, and it says, okay, there's no restrictions on it. We looked at it and it's fine. Now, I personally have never had that happen. I've always put down there's nothing in this that would be restricted, and they've always said okay, and it's always gone up with no restrictions. When I did that video the other day, it went up and it said one restriction found, and I was like, what fucking restriction is there? I'm talking about, a fish tank and water. And so I went back and I looked at the video, and there was one point where I talked about the piece of wood that had been in the tank for 15 years, and I referred to it as a 15-year-old piece of wood. And I suspect the phrase a 15-year-old got flagged by the AI. And then as they did their double checks and looked at the video, they said, oh, okay, obviously he's referencing the piece of wood or whatever. That's okay. And they let it go through. But that's the first time I've ever had a video flagged before. And that's the only thing I can possibly think of would have caused it to be flagged. By the time I went back and watched the video, it was like a minute and a half long, and then came back, the restriction was gone and it said it's cleared. So I never even got a chance to look into what it was saying was restricted, or I didn't have to argue about it or anything. But I did find that interesting, and I think it was because of that phrase, a 15-year-old. I was listening to Pink Floyd again last night, and I'm really trying to listen to some of the older stuff, and I find there's a reason that I don't ever listen to some of the older stuff. It's just so hard to get through. I listen to Saucer Full of Secrets, and I just can't fucking do it. There's a song or two on there that's all right, and then it just goes into what just sounds like fucking noise. It's all that experimental shit, all these discordant notes. It sounds like everybody's playing a different song at the same time. And it's just at some point I'm just like, enough, and I stopped listening to it. I mean, there might be better stuff towards the end again, but the whole middle is just noise. And Omaguma is the same way. Omaguma's got some awesome songs on there. It's really good songs. Careful with that axe, Eugene. Set the controls for the heart of the sun. And then it just goes into like, just 20 or 30 minutes of them just banging on instruments and all kinds of noise, and it gets real loud and then it gets real quiet. And I know they were all on acid and tripping, and it was all experimental and all that shit. And back in the 60s, that was all fucking cool. But it's just hard to listen to if you're just trying to like chill and listen to some music. It just sounds like a bunch of kids behind you banging on instruments. And so I couldn't do it. I finally, after like an hour trying to I did the same thing with metal. I couldn't get all the way through metal. And then, God, I put on Dark Side of the Moon last night, and it was just like fucking angels singing in my ears. Like, Dark Side is such an amazing album, especially after you've listened to all of that shit for like an hour, just like, oh God, shut up. And then put on Dark Side, and it's, oh God, it was just amazing. Anyway, this is the light that I have on there. This is called a shop light. If you go to Home Depot, I don't know if your Home Depot will carry this, but if you go to my Home Depot over in the big city of Westminster, go into like the industrial lighting section where they have all of like the ceiling fixtures and all that stuff, not where they sell the light bulbs, but go back into the back where they have the fixtures, and tucked away in a corner, you will find a little stack of these. They're 3 feet long, so they fit on the 40 breeders perfectly. And they're also flat and flush. And so they sit perfectly flush on the glass, and they're like, it's like they're made for a 40 breeder fish tank. The only thing I don't really like about them is they've got color temperature of 4000 K. I don't know if it's really 4000 K, but they say it's 4000 K. And it's a little yellower than I would like it. It might even be 3500 K or something like that. I prefer 5000 K, 5500 maybe at the top end. 6500 K is too blue, and anything under like 4000 is too yellow. And this is right on the cusp of being too yellow. But so many things about it are so perfect for this tank that I get it. And it's $12 or $13 for the light. So they do burn out, and this is like the third one I've bought, but I've gotten like 2 or 3 years of use out of it before they burn out. And so for $12 or $13 or whatever I paid for it, whatever, I can deal with replacing them from time to time. When I did plug this one in, it sort of flickered, and if I jiggled it a little bit, it kind of lit up a little bit more, and then it kind of went out again. And so it's done. So let's get rid of this one. We'll throw that in the tank with the mushroom package. And then we will get out this one. So this is the box you'll be looking for. Just a plain Jane brown cardboard box. Oh, look at this. I'm old. It actually comes with hanging hardware, 2 little metal hangers, and then some anchors to mount into the ceiling or whatever to hang it from. And it's even got little notches in the back for you to put the little hanger loops in. So I never even knew that. Would make sense considering it's a shop light. So again, it just sits on the tank perfectly. All right, so the first thing we need to do is get the tank, get the light that's on the back of the tank to the front of the tank. All right, step 1 complete. Let's not knock my laptop off. All right, step 2, get this one onto the back of the tank. And step 3 will be plug it in. All right. Get the cord down there. All right, step 2 is complete. And now we have step 3. And bloom, lighted. So that's a lot of light in there. So now on this forward tank, let me find the cord with the switch on it. Where the hell is the switch? Oh, the switch is up here. So if you see, I put a switch on that, and we can just turn the forward light on or off. So when I'm not down here shooting video of it, we can do that, and it'll keep the tank lit for the fish, but it will also prevent this glass from getting completely overgrown with algae and whatnot, which it does readily by having that forward light turned on. Again, it's a shop light. It does put out a lot of light, and it, you know, being right on the front of the tank there, it just crushes this front glass full of light. So this will greatly reduce the algal growth in there. We just reduced the light by 50%, and again, most of the light is now in the rear part of the tank. It's going to be a matter of making sure this Anubias here gets enough light now. Of course it will. It's Anubias. They can grow with virtually no light. They're a very low light plant. So we don't have anything to worry about with that. I can now sit down and call it an evening. We'll chat for a little while, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Get out of here. Go do my thing for the night. Ugh. Throw away some of this junk. Yeah. You know you're old when you make noises when you sit down and stand up. All right. See, I don't actually have to make those noises when I bend down. It's just fun. All right. Do I need to bring anything else in? No, I can't think of anything else out here I need to bring in with me. All right, everybody, here I come. There we go. All right, let me see where I was. It's gotta be way back here. True Heart, you forgot animals. It's the foursome. Animals, Wish You Were Here, Dark Side, and The Wall. And I still say that Final Cut is an amazing, underrated album. It's not a fun album, and I have not yet listened to it while I've been having my mushroom experiences at night. It's just not a fun album, and I'm not going to do that. I do listen to that album, though, when I'm in sort of a melancholy mood. Autumn's coming up, so we'll probably be getting there soon enough. But don't dismiss Final Cut. It's a really good album. Exactly, Cornish. Animals. Me doing a reaction video. I do watch a fair amount of reaction videos. I don't think I'd be a good reaction video to watch. The tribes people with me. I'm getting all confused, wondering where the noise is coming from. Yeah, 5,000K is the way to go. 5,000K is the color temperature of midday sun. 2 in the afternoon sunshine is 5,000K. Shirley. And about. Oh, we got lots of mycelium. It's gonna next few days. I'm gonna be starting to switch it over. We can actually get it out and have a look at it. It's been a couple days since I've looked at it. It might be ready now. Let me get caught up and then we'll have a look at it. Oh no, Shirley. I hope you're able to stay on the antibiotics. I had an infection one time and they gave me antibiotics for like 2 weeks and then I stopped the antibiotics and it came back with a vengeance because it hadn't cleared away and they had to put me on a really strong antibiotic for like a month. And I kept taking that shit for like 2 weeks after all the signs of the infection were gone, and that finally knocked it out. So you might have to just really just keep hammering that infection to get it out of there. But I hope you get it cleared up. It sounds like some nasty shit. All right, Michael. Garlic bulbs keep squirrels from plants. I don't think they would. Little Oscar and 2 angelfish probably wouldn't be an issue, but it's not going to be a little Oscar for very long. What noises did I make now? Well, the division bell is post split, post Roger Waters. And the division bell, no, I saw Delicate Sound of Thunder tour. Did I see Division Bell? No, I lived in Florida when Division Bell came out. I saw, it was the very first tour they did after Roger Waters left, is when I saw Pink Floyd at RFK down in DC. And it was RFK Stadium. That is not the person, the stadium. Is RFK Stadium even still there? I think they tore that stadium down, didn't they? Yeah, that's what I say. You're not going to have a small Oscar for long at all. All right, let's go grab my bag of mycelium and see what it's looking like. It was almost fully colonized when I looked at it a couple days ago. It had, you could just see a little bit of the darkness from the substrate poking through, but it was mostly white. And so once it's fully white, and it'll be ready, that'll be ready to start flowering. So let's see where we are. Well, that's pretty close. I mean, I really think I could probably start flowering it right now. It's all the way through. Even the top of it is completely white. I know a lot of this is moisture, but if you get the moisture off the bag and look in there, that all that whiteness is on the surface of the substrate. So that's a pretty good spread. Probably shouldn't be exposing it to all this light for so long. I only do this once every several days, and so I don't think it's that big of a deal. It gets a minute or two every couple of days while I check on it. So I think maybe tomorrow I might start the flowering process. Should be interesting. All right. I'm going to upgrade the goldfish. I hope I'm going to upgrade them into a 75. So the next step is once you've got the full colonization. Right now, the bag is vacuum sealed, and that all that's mycelium and everything has not been exposed to air yet. It's not been exposed to oxygen. So what I'll do next is I will open the box up. At the top of the bag, I'll cut a slit on either side, and I'll sort of open the bag up to suck some fresh air in and squeeze it and open it, just one or two times just to sort of push some of the CO2 out and get some oxygen in. And then I'll have to set it in a room with ambient light on it, just indirect overhead lighting is all you really need. It doesn't need like any kind of special lighting at all. But I'm going to get like a small light and I'm going to set up a special area for it so it can be disturbed. I'm going to put it on a 12 and 12 timer. And that's all you got to do is just once a day, let it breathe, open it up and squeeze it and move some air in and out and then put it back and just let it sit again. You should every few days, if you can, maybe squirt a little bit of mist on the bag, not directly onto the mycelium, but onto the bag and let it run down the sides. And that'll keep it moist enough because you got to keep it moist. And within a few days, you'll start to see the mushrooms developing. And within 2 weeks or so, you should have a big full bag full of mushrooms. And then you just open the bag up and pull all the mushrooms out and harvest them. It's as easy as that. It's really, it still amazes me that growing psilocybin mushrooms is easier by a long shot than growing weed. The only thing is weed, you can get seeds pretty much anywhere, but with the psilocybin mushrooms, you pretty much have to find spores and, you need some specialized stuff. But once you get started, it's really easy to do so far. I wonder why it wishing me the best. You got fruiting bodies in there. I do have a dehydrator, and so I will be putting them on the dehydrator to dry them out. I haven't really looked too much into the process. I'm assuming you just lay them out and, you set it at a lower temperature and then you dry them for 6 hours or something like that. And you should have dried magic mushrooms. Again, the strain that I'm growing is called Golden Teacher. And so you can look the Golden Teacher up if you want and see what I'm growing, but that's what I'm growing is the Golden Teacher. Oh no, I got a dehydrator. All right, everybody, let's start winding down for the evening. I think I'm done with the dabs and I'm done with this bowl. We can do another bong hit or two before the night is out. So I'll leave that here. I'll leave this here. And I'll take these and put them away. Oh, yeah, I can definitely feel those chocolate bars starting to roll on. That's what I was waiting for. I figured it'd be any time now. It's surprising how fast it happens. I guess I had what technically would count as an empty stomach. I had a protein drink right before we went live at 8, and I had one pretzel at 7:30, and then I had a protein drink at 8. So that's the only food I've had all day. I would think that probably ought to count as an empty stomach. Laura, what are you still doing awake? Don't you have to get up at dark 30 in the morning tomorrow? You don't have to stay here for the whole live stream, right? Well, Laura, you are welcome to push your channel here on my live streams. I don't have any problem with that. Bob, likewise, you are more than welcome to push your channel. No, I do not have a power head in there. I like the chocolates. The only reason I like the syrup better is it's quicker. I can just go bleh, 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 and it's down. I don't have to actually spend all that time chewing the chocolate. As stupid as that sounds. The chocolate bar is more delicate. It's harder to keep. You know, you can't just throw that in the back of the boat on a hot ass day or whatever. Whereas the syrup, you can. The syrup comes on quicker and tends to wear off faster, whereas the chocolate tends to roll on a little more slowly, but it lasts a little longer too on the other end of it, and so it's a more stretched out experience with the chocolate. So it's a little different than the syrup. I prefer the syrup, but I do really like the chocolate. And again, legit, just the chocolate itself. If that was a non-mushroomed chocolate bar, and like I could just go buy that brand of chocolate bar for a snack. If I was the kind of person that went out and bought chocolate bars, I'd buy that over a Hershey bar every day of the week and twice on Sunday. It's almost, it's like a Cadbury. It's a really, really creamy, smooth chocolate. It's really good. And then, of course, it makes you feel fucking amazing an hour and a half later. It's just really good stuff. I like it a lot. As I keep saying, I need to send them an email and talk about doing some kind of advertising where I'll do, like, you know, if they give me a candy bar, I'll eat it and do the whole candy bar on a live stream or whatever, just to advertise for them. So we'll see if we can't work something out. That's what I'm talking about. Look at them disco lights. All right, Laura, you get to bed. I'm right behind you anyway. Stretched out experience. You could call it a prolonged experience. It is. It's just the whole thing is slowed down. If you ate the equivalent amount of syrup, it's a sharper uprise, a harder peak, and then a sharper down on the other side. Whereas the chocolate is just a smoother glide up until you peak, and then it's a smoother glide on the way down. But the peak is going to be the same. You don't get higher on the syrup necessarily because it's the same amount, but it hits you so much faster. It feels like it's having more of an impact. The chocolate's just the whole experience is just this really gentle, smooth onset, and then, you know, let down on the other side of it. Again, my preference is the syrup, but I do like the chocolate, and it is delicious. If I haven't mentioned that already. All right, we're going to blow some more smoke into the disco light. I think that's cool looking too. I like it. It works pretty good with the vape stuff too. Whee! There you go. That's some party lights. All right, everybody. Any last words or comments, thoughts, any discussion? I have taken the syrup and the chocolate at the same time. In fact, I did it last night. I ate 6 squares of chocolate, and I washed it down with about a quarter of a bottle of the syrup. And it was fucking fun. The syrup, you know, got me way up quick, and then the chocolate eased in behind it. And so when I hit normally when you hit your peak with this stuff, it's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours after you've taken it, you'll hit your peak. You'll stay at your peak for about a half an hour maybe, and then you start coming down. So by drinking the syrup and the chocolate together, I still hit my peak fairly quickly, but I stayed there for like an hour and a half and then started coming down nice and smooth with the chocolate on the other side. So it was a nice combination of taking the chocolate and the syrup at the same time. So, all right, we'll do one more bong hit since I'm standing here and I got it in my hand. I'm really starting to feel that the chocolate bar is rolling onto me. I'm going to start smiling a lot now from here on out. I do my live streams on Friday nights and Sunday nights at 8 o'clock. Ideally, I don't necessarily always do them, but for the most part, I'm here Friday night and Sunday night at 8 o'clock. And if you want to join for a private members only live stream, I do them every Wednesday night, but that is for members only. So you'd have to join the channel. If you go below any of my videos, you'll see a join button. Not the Patreon, but there's a join button under the YouTube channel. And if you join the YouTube channel, you'll get access to the Wednesday members only live stream, but you also get access to my Discord server where there's a big community over there and everybody's, doing their Discord thing, etc. So you get all that for $2.99 a month if you want to sign up for membership. Otherwise, Friday and Sunday nights are where you can catch me here live and for free. All right, let's put some weed in there. It's a lot better when you actually put the marijuana in the bowl. I was getting ready to put the cap for the jar on my bong, so I think we're time to call it a night, everybody. Go ahead and put this bong away before I hurt somebody. And then put this cap on here where it actually belongs, and we will also put this away. So last call, like I said, any last thoughts, comments, questions, etc. before I get out of here? No, you don't want a lot of movement in a goldfish tank. All right. Thanks for stopping by, True Heart. This is a play on the dark side of the moon. Instead of being the prism, it's a cat. I don't know. I just thought that was pretty easy to interpret. Although it's sold as cat playing with light meme, but obviously it's a play on dark side of the moon. It's the cat, instead of the prism, light, rainbow, dark side, Pink Floyd. All right, everybody. Let me put these last two things away, and then I'm going to say goodnight and be out of here. And it is Sunday, so it will be next Friday before I see most of you again. For my members, I will see you guys on Wednesday. Everybody else, I'll see you all next Friday. So thanks for hanging out. Hope you all had a good time, and I will see you next Friday. All right, everybody. Good night.